Imagine this. You wake up one morning, the air heavy, with a strange, unshakable familiarity. The coffee burns your tongue the same way it did yesterday, the same way it always does. You trip over the same loose shoelace, mutter the same half-hearted curse, and rush out the door into a life that feels like a scratched record skipping, repeating, stuck. Every mistake you swore you'd never make again claws its way back into your orbit. The lover you promised to leave behind. The job you meant to escape. The venomous words you vowed never to speak, they return. Relentless, like shadows stitched to your heels. Why? Why does the past refuse to stay buried? Why do you keep circling the same jagged edges, bleeding from the same wounds? This isn't just a quirk of habit or a failure of will, it's a paradox that gnaws at the marrow of your existence. You're a creature of reason, aren't you? You learn, you grow, you adapt her, so you tell yourself. Yet here you are, trapped in a cycle so precise, it feels scripted, as if some unseen puppeteer is pulling strings you can't even see. Carl Jung, the Swiss sage of the psyche, peered into this abyss and saw something unsettling. The mistakes you repeat aren't accidents. They're echoes of something deeper, something you refuse to face. But what is it? What force is so cunning it can hijack your mind, bend your choices, and keep you tethered to a wheel of your own making? Feel the weight of that question settle into your chest. It's not a comfortable one, it's meant to sting, to prickle the edges of your awareness. What if the life you're living isn't entirely yours? What if the patterns you despise are carved into you, not by chance, but by a hidden architect within? Jung called it the shadow, that dark, unacknowledged twin of your soul, whispering in a language you've forgotten how to hear. Are you brave enough to listen? Or will you turn away again, pretending the cycle is just bad luck, a cosmic typo you'll correct next time? The tension coils tighter now. Every step you take feels like a step backward. Every resolution a hollow echo of the last. You want to scream, to break something, to prove you're not a prisoner of this invisible script. But the harder you fight, the more familiar the struggle feels. Why does freedom slip through your fingers like smoke? Why does the same ghost keep knocking at your door? Jung would tell you it's not fate, it's you, but not the you know. Not the polished mask you wear or the story you tell yourself. It's the you you've buried, the one you fear to meet. Hold that thought. Let it burn. The answer isn't here not yet. It's waiting in the depths, coiled like a serpent, ready to strike when you least expect it. What lies beneath this maddening repetition? Step closer. The edge is nearer than you think. You stand at that edge now, peering into the chasm of your own repetition. The question gnaws louder. Why can't you escape? The answer isn't simplets, a tangle of roots, sunk deep into the soil of your psyche, fed by forces you barely recognize. Carl Jung saw it clearly. The mistakes you repeat aren't mere stumbles, they're symptoms of a war within. A clash between the self you claim and the shadow you deny. That shadow isn't just a poetic flourish. It's the repository of everything you've shoved out of sight. Your fears, your shame, the desires you won't name. It's alive, and it's cunning. It doesn't just sit there, it steers you, nudging you back to the same cliffs you swear you've climbed. Why does this happen? Because you're not as free as you think. Jung argued that the conscious mind, your proud, rational captain, is a fragile thing, dwarfed by the unconscious, a vast and unruly sea. In that sea swims the shadow, and it knows you better than you know yourself. Every time you vow to change, it whispers an older script, one written in the ink of childhood wounds, societal chains, and primal instincts. You don't see it coming because you've trained yourself not to look. Nietzsche, that mad prophet of the soul, would nod grimly here. Man is the animal that must overcome himself, he wrote. But overcoming means facing what you've buried, and most never do. This isn't just psychology, it's philosophy carved into flesh. Schopenhauer, with his bleak gaze, saw life as a pendulum swinging between boredom and pain, driven by a blind will we can't outrun. Your repetitions? They're that will flexing its muscle, dragging you back to familiar suffering because it's safer than the unknown. Sartre would call it bad faith living, as if you're a puppet of circumstance, when really, you're the one tying the strings. But Jung takes it deeper. The shadow isn't random, it's personal. It's the part of you that thrives on the comfort of the known. even when the known is a cage. You repeat mistakes because they're your tailor-made traps you've built to avoid the terror of meeting yourself unmasked. Society doesn't help. You're raised in a world that rewards conformity, that punishes the plunge into the abyss. Aldous Huxley warned of this in Brave New World, a culture so obsessed with stability it numbs you to your own depths. You're taught to polish the surface, to keep the machine running, while the shadow festers below. Every ad, every expectation, every should is a brick in the wall between you and the truth. And the truth? It's that your mistakes aren't failures of discipline. They're failures of courage. You're not weak. You're hiding. The shadow knows this, and it exploits it, steering you back to the same lovers, the same fights, the same dead ends, because they're the devil you know. Feel that twist in your gut? That's the tension rising. This isn't about blame, it's about revelation. The problem isn't out there, in the world, or the people who wrong you. It's in here, in the dark corners you've locked away. Viktor Frankl, who clawed meaning from the ashes of despair, would tell you that suffering without purpose is unbearable. But what if your suffering is the purpose? What if these cycles are a call, a brutal invitation to dig deeper? The consequences of ignoring it are already creeping in, silent and insidious. You're not ready for them yet, but they're coming. Can you sense them at your back? You feel it now, don't you, that creeping shadow at your back? It's not just a hunch. It's the weight of what's already unfolding, the unseen wreckage of your refusal to look within. These cycles you're trapped in, they don't just repeat like a broken clock. They compound. They carve grooves into your life, deeper with every turn, until the grooves become canyons you can't climb out of. Jung knew this. The shadow you ignore doesn't fade, it grows, feeding on your denial, shaping your reality in ways you never signed up for. What started as a missed chance or a familiar fight metastasizes into a life half-lived, a soul half-seen. Look closer. Every time you fall into the same mistake, snapping at someone you love, chasing a dream that always sours, numbing yourself with the same old vice, something erodes. Your trust in yourself frays. Your sense of agency slips. Cognitive science backs this up. The brain loves patterns, even destructive ones. Neural pathways harden with repetition, like rivers cutting through stone. The more you choose the familiar, the harder it gets to choose anything else. It's called the sunk cost fallacy, but it's more than a bias, it's a neurological leash. You're not just repeating, you're reinforcing. You're training yourself to stay small, to stay stuck. And it's not just you. These cycles ripple outward, staining the world around you. The lover you hurt again carries that scar into their next trust. The job you cling to poisons the air for everyone else trapped there. Jung saw the collective shadow too, how personal blindness feeds societal rot. Think of wars fought over the same tired grudges, cultures crumbling under unexamined myths. Your private repetition isn't private at all, it's a thread in a larger tapestry of stagnation. Huxley's dystopia wasn't fiction, it was a mirror. We're conditioned to sleepwalk through life, and every time you let the shadow win, you tighten that conditioning's grip. The urgency builds here. You might not see it yet, but your body knows. That tightness in your chest, that flicker of dread, when the cycle restarts, it's your instinct screaming what your mind won't admit. This is costing you more than time. It's stealing your potential. Neuroscience tells us the prefrontal cortex, your seat of willpower, tires under stress, defaulting to old habits when you're weak. Culture piles on, rewarding the shallow fix over the deep dive. And the shadow? It thrives in that exhaustion, pulling you back to the same quicksand, because it's easier than swimming upstream. You're not just losing days, you're losing the chance to become who you could be. What's worse, the longer you wait, the louder the silence grows. You stop hearing the call to change. Frankl's voice echoes again. Meaning is found in struggle, but only if you face it. Ignore it, and you're left with a hollow, achy life where nothing fits because you've outgrown the shell you won't shed. The consequences aren't loud, they're quiet, insidious. A relationship that withers not from one big blow, but from 1,000 small cuts. A dream that dies not in a crash, but in a slow, unnoticed fade. Can you feel the stakes rising? This isn't about guilt, it's about survival. The shadow's game is patient, but its toll is ruthless. You're teetering now, on the brink, of something bigger. The trap is real, and it's tightening. But there's a way out, a rebellion brewing in the bones of this realization. It's close. So close you can taste it. Are you ready to turn and face what's been chasing you? You're here now, teetering on that razor's edge, the shadow's breath hot on your neck. The cycles have carved their canyons. The consequences have sunk their teeth. But something shifts inside you, a spark, a defiance. Jung didn't just name the shadow to haunt you. He pointed to a way out. Freedom isn't handed to you, it's seized. It's a rebellion, a violent uprooting of everything you've let fester. You've been a prisoner not because you're weak, but because you've been blind. The time for seeing has come. Are you ready to burn the script? The first step is brutal. Face the shadow, not as an enemy to slay, but as a mirror to meet. Jung called integration, staring into the parts of yourself you've banished and claiming them. That rage you swallow, that fear you dodge, that wild hunger you cage, they're not flaws, they're fuel. Stop running. Ask yourself, what am I hiding from? The answer will sting. It might be a memory, a truth, a version of you that doesn't fit the mask. But here's the twist. The shadow only rules when you ignore it. Look at it, name it, and it loses its grip. Nietzsche's abyss gazes back. Yes, but it also bows when you stand tall. This isn't soft self. Help, it's a mindset forged in fire. History whispers of rebels who broke free. Socrates drank the hemlock rather than bend to the crowd's shadow. Joan of Arc burned for a vision the world couldn't see. They didn't escape their cycles by tweaking habits. They shattered them by rewriting the rules. You can too. Start small, but radical. If you always apologize first, don't. If you cling to safety, leap. The brain resists. Those neural grooves are deep cut. Every defiance digs a new path. Science calls it neuroplasticity. Jung called it individuation. You call it waking up. Counterintuitive? Damn right. The world tells you to fix the surface, a new job, new lover, new promises. Jung says dig deeper. The mistake isn't the act, it's the root. You don't break a cycle by changing what you do. You break it by changing who you are. Sartre's freedom is a burden, but it's yours to carry. Stop blaming fate or others. The shadow's power is your permission. Revoke it. When the old urge rises to run back to that toxic comfort, pause, breathe. Ask, who's driving this? Then choose the opposite, not out of spite, but out of sovereignty. You're reclaiming control now, brick by brick. Build a new way of thinking. Ruthless honesty. Reckless curiosity. Frankl survived the camps by finding meaning in the void. Your void is softer, but no less real. What's your meaning? Not some grand destiny, but a daily anchor. Maybe it's creating something raw, loving someone fiercely, or just refusing to lie to yourself. Anchor there, and the shadow's pull weakens. You're not erasing it. It's part of you, but you're no longer its puppet. Feel that power surging? It's not loud. It's steady. You're not the victim of your story anymore. You're the author. The rebellion isn't over. It's a lifelong stand. Every cycle you break is a victory. Every shadow you face a crown. But there's more, a deeper truth waiting. One that ties this all together. One that will shake the ground beneath you. You fought for this. You've earned it. Can you sense it calling? Just beyond the horizon? Step forward. The ultimate revelation is yours to claim. You've clawed your way here. Through the rebellion's fire. The shadow's grip loosening with every step. The air feels different now, charged. Alive. As if the world itself is holding its breath. You've faced the cycles, stared into the abyss, and claimed your power. But there's one last veil to lift. One final truth that Jung glimpsed in the depths of the psyche, a revelation so vast, it redefines everything you thought you knew. Are you ready to see it? This isn't just an answer. It's a seismic shift. A lens that makes the chaos of your life snap into focus. Here it is. Your repetitions aren't mistakes. They're your soul's desperate bid to be whole. Jung called it the individuation process, the journey to integrate every fractured piece of you into a singular, authentic self. Those cycles you cursed, they're not punishments, they're invitations. Every time you fall into the same trap, the shadow isn't mocking you. It's screaming for your attention, dragging you back to the wound you won't heal, the truth you won't face. You don't repeat because you're broken. You repeat because you're unfinished. The ultimate truth is this: your greatest struggle is your greatest teacher. Sit with that. Let it sink in. The lover you can't let go of, the anger you can't tame, the dream you keep chasing, they're not random. They're signposts. Jung believed the unconscious doesn't waste energy, it's purposeful, even in its chaos. What you call failure is the raw material of your becoming. Schopenhauer saw life as a blind will, but Jung saw meaning in the blindness, a call to transcend. You've been fighting the wrong war, swinging shadows when you should have been listening to them. The paradox unravels. Your deepest pain is your deepest guide. This changes everything. That moment you snapped at someone you love, it wasn't just a lapse site, was a flare from the part of you begging for boundaries. That job you hate but won't leave, it's not just cowardice, it's a mirror to the courage you've yet to claim. Neuroscience might call it pattern recognition. Philosophy might call it fate. Jung calls it destinat, the kind written in stars, but the kind you forge by facing what's within. The ultimate realization is a paradigm shift. You're not trapped in a cycle, you're being sculpted by it. Every return is a chance to chisel deeper, to carve out the self you were meant to be. Feel the ground shift beneath you. This isn't abstract, it's visceral. The struggles that haunted you suddenly clarify, like fog lifting from a battlefield. You see now, freedom isn't escaping the past, it's embracing it as raw clay. Frankel's meaning takes root here. You don't just survive the repetition, you mine it for gold. The shadow isn't your jailer, it's your partner, daring you to dance with the dark until you both shine. This is no gentle epiphany, it's a thunderclap, a call to rethink your entire existence. So stand there, at the edge of this truth, the world remade in your gaze. The coffee still burns, the shoelace still trips, but now you know, these aren't chains, they're threads in a tapestry, only you can weave. Will you keep running, or will you turn inward, tools in hand, ready to shape what's been shaping you? Jung's voice lingers, soft but unyielding. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. The choice is yours, no haunting, radiant, urgent. Step into it. The self you've been seeking is waiting. Not beyond the cycle, but within it. What will you make of it?